Of all the forts in India, the fort at Jazira occupies a very special place. It is the rarest of a rare kind, a sea fort. And military historians believe that forts of this kind are almost impossible to subdue. And true to this belief, this fort remained unconquered throughout its career 3.5 centuries long. Long years ago, this was a small fishing village occupied by the Koli tribesmen, who made a fortification here with wooden logs, thick wooden logs, as a protection against sea pirates who marauded them. And when the Siddhis discovered the strategic significance of this place, they built a massive fort here, which was almost invincible. Siddhis, originally from Abyssinia, were imported by Adil Shahi rulers as bodyguards, soldiers, able seafarers, and they pleased their masters so much that they were given increasing positions of responsibility. And across centuries, they became the de facto rulers of this place.
Janjira Fort is built on a small island on the Arabian Sea, just off the coast, 165 kilometers away from Alibag. The distance from the beach is about 2 kilometers. The waves of the sea playfully lap its thick ramparts, crowned with huge towers. This has been the seat of the Siddhis, Nawabs of Abyssinian origin, for over 500 years. A bastion that couldn't ever be conquered by any invader. The fort can be accessed only by a small boat capable of navigating the shallow waters.
These cities, we don't know exactly when they became a sizable sailor community, sizable naval force on the west coast of India. But it's obvious in Portuguese documents that by 16th century and 17th century, they became a formidable force which both the Marathas and the Portuguese feared very much.
India is a country with a long coastline. The sea defines the border in a large part of its territory. It is a bit surprising that those who ruled the land didn't quite understand the strategic significance of marine forts like Janjira. The Siddhi immigrant soldiers of fortune saw the possibilities and established themselves here firmly. They fought many fierce sea battles with the Dutch, Portuguese, French, British, Mughals and the Marathas in the next 400 years. But no one could oust them. When they first set foot on Indian soil, the Siddhis from Africa served the sultans of Bijapur. Soon they won renown all over the land for their exceptional valor and loyalty. Malik Ambar was the person to attain highest rank from this community. Legend has it that when Jahangir repeatedly failed to defeat him on the battlefield, he ordered a likeness of Malik Ambar to be fabricated. He used to shoot arrows at it to vent his frustration.
Power emerges in the great Malik Ambar, and all Africans from all over India, they looked towards him as a savior. He was a rising star who became the commander-in-chief of Nizam Shah in Ahmednagar. And he actually emerged as a hero, very religious person, and he crossed sword against Jahangir. He was a top-class diplomat, a brave man. All Africans who were in India rallied around him.
The Arabian Sea surrounding Janjira served as a deep moat, an immense body of water that couldn't be easily crossed by the enemy. The thick, strong walls of the ramparts extended to the very edge of the island, where the waves of the sea break against them. Towers reinforced the defensive armor. Any attempt to scale these could only be suicidal. Cannons placed on the ledges of these towers could easily target any intruder.
Siddi Khairiyat, Siddi Sambal and Siddi Qasim, they were the fate of Janjira. All the sea forts, all along the coast of Western Coast were manned by these Africans. Whoever may be the ruler, but they were manned by these Siddhis because they were natural seamen. The Siddhis were so powerful and they were so fanatic. They protected Janjira jealously, religiously.
The main entrance to the fort can be reached after climbing a set of slippery stairs. The small boat used to approach the landing point is constantly tossed by the waves, and visitors balance on it precariously. The path ahead suddenly takes a very sharp turn to face a rock-like wall. A small contingent of armed men could maul any hostile forces that somehow managed to sneak past the gate.
यहाँ से देखो किले का मेन प्रवेश द्वार, जहां से अभी हम लोग जस्ट किले में एंट्री किए। जानते हैं इस किले को गेट कितने हैं? इसको 3 गेट है, जिसमें 2 गेट इसके बड़े हैं और 1 गेट सबसे छोटा है। बट इसको बनाने वाले ने इसकी रचना देखो कैसी की है। अभी आप जब बोट में से बैठ के आए तो आपने एक बात तो नोट किया होगा, किले का दरवाजा दूर से नहीं दिखाई देता है। हमारा बोट जो है 20-25 फीट करीब आएगा तो ही गेट दिखेगा, वरना दूर से नहीं दिखता है, क्योंकि जितने भी तीनों के तीनों गेट बुर्ज के अंदर छुपाए गए हैं, ताकि जो शत्रु इस पे जो हमला करने के लिए आ रहा है उसे पता नहीं लगना चाहिए कि गेट कहां है।
One can have an idea of the strength of these walls by recalling that they stand firm after facing the relentless assault of salty spray for over 500 years.
The earliest references to this place are found in the accounts of Greek travelers, where the place is mentioned as jaziras, obviously deriving from the original Arabic jazira, that means an island in midst of an ocean. Never has been a place perhaps so aptly named. Historians tell us that it took half a century to build the fort. Those who dwelt here raised ramparts 50 feet high to defeat any assault. There were 19 towers on which were placed cannons that roared to make any enemy despair.
Long-range cannons are invaluable in a sea fort. The cannonballs could strike battleships much before they came close enough to cause any damage. A small spark could ignite gunpowder and cause a fatal explosion. At that time, the ships couldn't carry heavy guns that could retaliate. The Siddhis had placed 500 fire-spewing cannons in Janjira.
Since the Siddhis were already stationed in the vicinity of Bombay in such a powerful fort, there were guns made in Europe in 1665. Cannons, they were lying there in 1657, it is recorded. Great gun Kallal Bangdi captured from Maratha is there. It was a very well protected fort, exclusively for Siddhis, and they were a terror. Even the British had to pay them taxes. They did not allow any ship to cross that area in the water. So they protected practically the richest port of Mughal India at Surat.
The Siddhis dominated the Konkan coast for a very long time. No other marine power, foreign or indigenous, could match them in a sea battle. Considering discretion the better part of valor, Aurangzeb appointed them to high positions and entrusted them with safeguarding his interests.
Shivaji emerged as a Maratha hero. He was another rising star. Meteoric rise it took. He had no navy, and he soon realized that in order to face the British, Dutch, the French, India surrounded as from three sides water, cannot survive. And the people who came as slaves have become ruler by dint of naval power. Why not I should start? So he lured many, almost to 300 Portuguese, and they joined his navy, started building 1659 against the Siddhis. His small navy was getting ready under Darya Sarang, was a Muslim, and he quite successfully started a band of 20 boats, though they could not do much against the powerful, well-built and technically far superior navy of Siddhis, and was defeated as many times as it was attacked.
A fierce, bloodthirsty tug of war was waged between the Marathas and the British to occupy and control the Konkan coast. The Begum of Janjira petitioned the Maratha for protection after her husband, the Sultan, was assassinated. The Marathas raided Janjira, and the British, siding with the usurper Sultan, fought them off. The Marathas could not claim the fort.
Aurangzeb's time, they became royal commanders, Siddhis, because they were fighting Marathas. For 150 years, Marathas attacked them, right from the time of Shivaji, from 1659 onwards. Never ever this fort was captured, because the politics of the time, the diplomacy of the time was such that Portuguese, the French, the Dutch, the British in the vicinity of Bombay, they all sided with the Siddhis, provided them arms and ammunition, even cash. Shivaji's capital city, Raigad, can you believe it remained under the possession, physical possession of the Siddhis of Janjira for 60 years, along with so many other forts.
Allah
Janjira enjoyed peace and prosperity during the reign of Siddhi Sultans. The rulers traditionally maintained intimate relations with their subjects. The sovereigns were treated by the commoners as members of a family. This bond was cemented by the awareness that enemies on all sides had to be faced together. Life and death were shared equally. Siddhi Nawabs, who had started as slaves, could understand very well the sorrows and joys of the underprivileged.
A unique feature of the Siddhi story and the history of Janjira fort is that the ruling dynasty here did not belong to an illustrious imperial line, nor were they invading conquerors who conquered the province and named it their kingdom. They entered India as professionals and earned great riches and fame through their prowess. Once they decided to settle down here, they identified unabashedly as children of India. They married with the local people. In the beginning, it was possible to distinguish between the foreigners and the local, but as the bloodlines mingled, it became increasingly difficult to do so. At the time when India became independent, some 3,000 families stayed within the precincts of this fort. They belonged to 4 different communities: Siddhi Muslims, the Marathas, Koli fishermen, and the Bauds.
Many different styles of architecture are encountered here. Today the roof may not be intact on this palace, but the ruins bear testimony to its past glory. Not only are the ruins exquisitely beautiful, but they also impart a feeling of immense openness. Sadly, lack of upkeep and repairs have reduced even the royal palace to a shabby pile of rubble.
If you look at the fort like Janjira, or if you look at a fort like, let's say, Vijayadurg, which is not very far from Janjira, you will find that these forts are extremely strategically and importantly located at certain nuclei where trade junctions take place. Where, let's say, riverine trade is coming down from the Western Ghats region and meeting the Arabian Sea. Now, this is where the toll is set up. This is where the tax barriers come up. This is where the local navy actually inspects which ships are carrying passes of which ruler. And this is where the confiscation of ships can also take place. So most of these forts you will find are situated at the mouths of rivers.
ये समंदर पूरा खरा ही खरा, और बीच में देखो 2 हाउस बनाए लेते अल्लाह ने, वो देखो पानी पी के कितना पाक था। ये पानी से हस्तियाँ अंदर बढ़ती चली किले में।
A plentiful supply of sweet drinking water came to the rescue of those who dwelt here in times of long sieges. There are many step wells within the fort that provide drinking water round the year. This seat of Siddhi Pa attracted traders from far and near and became a halting stage on commercial routes.
European companies are now demanding more goods from India to export to the European markets and the British markets and so on and so forth. So there is a growing globalization of this coastal economy, as it were, from the 16th century onwards. As a consequence of this global integration, increasing globalization of this economy, the revenue generated in this area is now increasing. More surpluses are being generated in this area, and there is more surplus to be tapped. Therefore, Not only are more surpluses available to these local magnates and these autonomous power centers to build forts as symbols of power, but these forts then play a very important role in the tapping of this revenue.
The Siddhis of Janjira were not merely peerless seamen. They were also exceptionally far-sighted. They knew how traders and merchants could add to their wealth.
The sprawling ruins that we see from the ramparts of the fort at Janjira tell a sad tale. The scale is almost like that of Rome. They tell us of the days when this place too has seen grandeur and glory. Today it is difficult to imagine. Behind all this verdure lie ruins, buildings, palaces where lived kings and queens, where they used to be dazzled by markets, where came traders from all over the world. Only sad memories remain and linger on of the age gone by.
This fort has been a witness to an important chapter in India's history. The slaves from Africa carved a unique niche for themselves by their brave deeds and intelligence in the Deccan. Today, they are remembered not only for their naval prowess, but also for their contribution to our pluralistic heritage. It seems that these ruins know that the old days of glory will never return. As the sun sets, Janjira slowly recedes out of sight into the descending darkness.